Welcome to my channel Super Rare Coins. Today is best top 3 coins. Please don't skip this video. So let's get it started. The 1945 United States 1-cent coin, also known as the Lincoln Wheat Penny, is one of the most recognized and widely collected coins in American history. This piece belongs to the long-running Lincoln Cent series, first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. The coin's design, featuring Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and wheat ears on the reverse, became a symbol of both American heritage and everyday commerce. By 1945, the wheat cent had already been in circulation for over 3 decades and had become an enduring part of the American monetary landscape. The 1945 issue was produced during the closing months of World War II, a time when the U.S. Mint was adjusting coin production to meet the demands of both war and peace. The obverse of the coin was designed by Lithuanian-born sculptor Victor David Brenner, whose initials, VDB, can be found at the base of Lincoln's bust on some years, but not on most wartime issues, including 1945, where the initials are very small and positioned discreetly on the shoulder. The portrait shows Lincoln facing right with sharp facial features that convey strength and dignity. Above his head is the motto, "In God We Trust," placed in an arc following the coin's RIMTO, the left of Lincoln's profile is the word Liberty, and to the right the date, 1945, which may also include a mint mark beneath it indicating where the coin was struck. No mint mark for Philadelphia, a small D for Denver, or an S for San Francisco. The reverse features 2 stylized wheat stalks curving inward along the coin's left and right rims, framing the denomination 1 cent in large letters and the United States of America. Beneath it, above the denomination, is the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, out of many one, a reference to the unity of the states. This reverse design was also the work of Victor D. Brenner and remained in use from 1909 until 1958, when it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design. The wheat stalks not only gave the coin its nickname, Wheat Penny, but also symbolized agricultural prosperity and the agrarian roots of the United States. The 1945 Lincoln cent was struck in 95% copper and 5% zinc, with a small amount of tin sometimes present depending on wartime metal supplies during the war. Years of 1943 and 1944 composition had changed briefly, including the famous 1943 steel cents, but by 1945 the mint had returned to the pre-war copper alloy. The coin weighs 3.11 grams, has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, and features a smooth, plain edge. When freshly minted, the coin had a bright reddish-gold copper luster, though most examples in circulation toned to brown or dark chocolate hues over time due to oxidation. Production of the 1945 cent was very high, reflecting both the need for coins in a booming post-war economy and the mint's efforts to meet nationwide demand. The Philadelphia Mint produced the largest number, followed by Denver and San Francisco, and total over 1 billion 1945 wheat cents were struck across all 3 mints, making it one of the highest mintage years in the series up to that point. Because of these large numbers, the coin is common in circulated condition even today, though well-preserved uncirculated examples are more sought after. The historical context of this coin is particularly significant. In 1945, the United States was emerging from the Second World War, which officially ended in September with Japan's surrender. The economy was transitioning from wartime production to peacetime manufacturing. Soldiers were returning home, and consumer goods were once again becoming widely available. The penny, although of small value, was essential for everyday transactions, especially in an era when prices were still low enough that 1 cent could buy small items such as candy gum or postage for a postcard. The wheat cent was part of the daily rhythm of American life, passing through millions of hands every day. From a collector's standpoint, the 1945 Lincoln cent is not considered rare, but it holds strong appeal as a representative of wartime and immediate post-war coinage. Collectors often seek to obtain all 3 mintmark varieties: 1945, Philadelphia, 1945D, Denver, and 1945S, San Francisco. While heavily circulated examples have only face value, coins in mint state grades with original red luster can command higher prices. In particular, sharply struck examples with minimal marks are prized, as the softer copper alloy was prone to wear and contact marks. Errors and varieties such as double dies off center strikes or repunched mint marks are also collected, though they are less common for the 1945 issue compared to other years. The wheat cent series is often the first collectible coin many Americans encounter, as it was widely saved from circulation in the mid-20th century. The 1945 coin, with its large mintage, became one of the most likely dates for young collectors in the 1950s and 1960s to find in their pocket change. Its enduring design, historic associations, and affordability have kept it popular to this day. In a broader sense, the 1945 United States 1-cent coin represents the durability of American coinage traditions. Its design had already been in use for over 35 years by the time it was struck, yet it remained fresh and meaningful to the public. It linked the figure of Abraham Lincoln, the great emancipator and preserver of the Union, to a period in which the United States had once again played a decisive role in defending freedom on a global scale. This small copper coin, humble in denomination, thus carried with it an outsized symbolic weight in the hands and pockets of everyday Americans. Next, the 1975 United States 1-cent coin is part of the long-running Lincoln Cent series, which began in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. By 1975, the Lincoln Cent had already been in continuous production for 66 years, making it one of the most familiar coins in American history. The D mint mark on this coin signifies that it was struck at the Denver Mint in Colorado, one of the primary facilities of the U.S. Mint, which produced the majority of circulating cents that year. This coin falls within the Lincoln Memorial reverse era, 1959-2008, when the back of the cent displayed the image of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., designed by Frank Gasparro, replacing the earlier wheat ears reverse used from 1909-1958. The obverse front of the 1975 cent continues to feature Victor David Brenner's classic right-facing bust of Abraham Lincoln, first introduced in 1909. This portrait was revolutionary at the time because it was the first regular issue U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure rather than an allegorical representation of liberty. On the 1975 coin, Lincoln's portrait is detailed, showing the texture of his hair, the curve of his cheek, and the iconic beard without a mustache. Above his head is the motto, "In God We Trust," placed in an arc along the top. To the left of Lincoln is the word liberty, and to the right is the date 1975 with the small d mint mark directly below the date to denote Denver Mint production. Just below Lincoln's shoulder are the initials VDB, representing the designer Victor David Brenner, restored to the obverse in small form in 1918 after initial controversy over their size in 1909. The reverse of the coin, designed by Frank Gasparro and first used in 1959, depicts the Lincoln Memorial, a neoclassical monument dedicated in 1922 to honor Lincoln's memory. The detail of the memorial on the coin is so fine that under magnification the statue of Lincoln can be seen between the central columns, a tiny but remarkable engraving achievement. Above the memorial is the legend, United States of America, while the motto, E pluribus unum, meaning out of many one, appears in smaller letters directly above the building. Beneath the memorial is the denomination 1 cent, in large capital letters. The reverse design was intended to symbolize Lincoln's lasting impact on the nation and to tie the coin directly to a real recognizable landmark in Washington, D.C. In terms of composition, the 1975 Lincoln Cent was struck in the standard bronze alloy used from 1962 to mid-1982, consisting of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This gave the coin a total weight of 3.11 grams, a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, and a smooth, plain edge. The bronze composition gave the coin its warm reddish-brown color when new, though circulation typically darkened the surface over time to shades of brown. The metal content itself, especially the copper, became increasingly important in later years as rising copper prices eventually made the intrinsic metal value of these older cents approach or exceed their face value. The mintage of the 1975 cent was enormous, 4,505,275,300 coins, reflecting the huge demand for small denomination currency in the mid-1970s. The Denver Mint at that time was a workhorse facility, producing more than twice as many cents as the Philadelphia Mint in certain years. This high mintage means that the coin is common in circulated grades, but finding truly pristine examples in mint state red, MS 65 or higher, can still be a challenge due to bag marks, handling damage, and the natural tendency of copper to tone. Collectors often pursue these high-grade examples for registry sets where the difference between a gem and a superb gem can dramatically affect value. Historically, the year 1975 holds significance for the U.S. both economically and politically. America was facing economic turbulence, including high inflation, rising unemployment, and the aftereffects of the 1973 oil crisis. Politically, it was the year after President Richard Nixon's resignation, with Gerald Ford serving as president and attempting to stabilize the country's morale and economy. Though these events don't directly affect the coin's design, they form part of the backdrop against which it circulated, making the 1975 penny a small, everyday artifact of a challenging era in American life. From a collector's standpoint, the 1975 cent is often included in Lincoln Memorial cent date and mintmark sets. It's also examined by specialists for die varieties such as double dies repunched mintmarks, RPMs. And die cracks, though major varieties for this date are relatively scarce compared to some other years. Proof coins for 1975 were struck at the San Francisco Mint with an S mint mark and were made only for collectors, so they do not share the same circulation history as the Denver minted coins. The lasting legacy of the 1975 D penny lies in its role as part of one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. The Lincoln Memorial reverse design would continue until 2008, replaced in 2009 by 4 special bicentennial reverses, and then in 2010 by the Union Shield reverse. While the 1975 D may be common, it is an authentic, tangible link to the mid-1970s United States, an era of change, uncertainty, and resilience. For those who collect or simply appreciate the artistry and history behind everyday objects, this small copper coin offers a surprising depth of meaning and a connection to more than just monetary exchange. Next, the 2009 United States 1-cent coin, Lincoln cent, holds a unique and celebrated place in modern American coinage because it marks the bicentennial of President Abraham Lincoln's birth and the 100th anniversary of the Lincoln cent itself. First introduced in 1909 to honor the centennial of Lincoln's birth, the Lincoln cent had featured the same basic design for a full-century Victor David Brenner's famous portrait of Lincoln on the obverse and the familiar reverse designs, first the wheat ears from 1909-1958, then the Lincoln Memorial from 1959-2008. In 2009, the U.S. Mint created a special one-year issue with 4 different reverse designs, each telling a different chapter of Lincoln's life story, before permanently introducing a new shield design in 2010. The obverse of the 2009 cent continued to use Victor David Brenner's right-facing bust of Abraham Lincoln, a portrait that has become one of the most enduring and recognizable images in U.S. coinage. This design shows Lincoln with his high cheekbones, neatly combed hair, and dignified expression. The on the obverse remain unchanged from previous years. The national motto, "In God We Trust," appears in a curved line above Lincoln's head. The word "Liberty" is to his left, and the date, 2009, is positioned to the right. Beneath the date is the mint mark P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, or S for San Francisco, identifying the facility where the coin was struck. The designer's initials VDB, originally controversial when first placed in large letters in 1909, are now subtly positioned on Lincoln's shoulder. What makes the 2009 cent special is its reverse designs, which depict 4 distinct stages of Lincoln's life: birth and early childhood in Kentucky, 1809-1816. This design shows a small log cabin representing Lincoln's humble birthplace in Hardin County, Kentucky. Above it is the motto E pluribus unum, and below is the United States of America, with the denomination 1 cent, formative years in Indiana, 1816-1830. This reverse depicts a young Lincoln reading while sitting on a log, symbolizing his self-education, with a split-rail fence in the background representing his rural upbringing. Professional life in Illinois, 1830-1861. This design shows Lincoln standing in front of the Springfield, Illinois state capitol, holding a book in one hand and a law book or scroll in the other, representing his career as a lawyer and legislator. Presidency in Washington, D.C., 1861-1865. The final reverse depicts the partially completed U.S. Capitol dome as it appeared during the Civil War, symbolizing the unfinished work of uniting the nation during Lincoln's presidency. Each reverse design carries the United States of America, 1 cent, and E pluribus unum, and all were created to reflect specific historical eras of Lincoln's life. The designs were the work of different artists working under the U.S. Mint's Artistic Infusion program, ensuring a fresh yet historically grounded approach to the commemorations. In terms of composition, most 2009 Lincoln cents struck for circulation followed the modern post-1982 standard, 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper plating, giving them a total weight of 2.5 grams and a diameter of 19.05 millimeters. However, special collector versions, including proof and uncirculated mint set coins, were struck in the original pre-1982 composition of 95% copper and 5% tin/zinc to honor the centennial anniversary. This detail has made the copper 2009 cents especially attractive to collectors. The mintage figures for 2009 varied by design and mint. The Philadelphia and Denver mints produced hundreds of millions of each reverse type for circulation, while the San Francisco mint struck proof versions for collector sets. Because of the 4-design program, the number of each design produced is lower than in typical single design years, which makes them a bit more interesting to find in circulation, especially in top grades. Historically, the release of the 2009 cents came during a significant economic period, the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis. Coin circulation patterns were unusual during this time, and many Americans began to hoard the new designs both as souvenirs and as a hedge against future rarity. The cent's low face value and high production numbers meant it was still used in everyday commerce, but the novelty of the designs made them stand out immediately in pocket change. From a collector's perspective, the The 2009 cent set offers an accessible yet meaningful way to hold a piece of U.S. history. Completing the set of all 4 designs from both Philadelphia and Denver mints is an easy and inexpensive challenge for beginners, while specialists might pursue high-grade examples in mint state red, MS65 or higher, proof coins with deep cameo contrast or copper composition varieties from collector sets. Some collectors also search for minor die varieties such as double dies or die breaks, which can add extra value and interest. The symbolism behind the 2009 designs runs deep. By dividing Lincoln's life into 4 stages, the mint invited Americans to see not just the president and emancipator, but also the boy in the log cabin, the self-taught frontier youth, the ambitious lawyer, and the wartime leader who held the Union together. This narrative approach transformed the cent from a simple medium of exchange into a miniature history lesson in copper and zinc, and the broader arc of U.S. coinage history. The 2009 1 cent represents the closing chapter of the Lincoln cent's first century. The following year, 2010, introduced the new shield reverse, symbolizing Lincoln's preservation of the Union. Thus, the 2009 designs serve as a bridge between the century-old tradition and the modern era of the Lincoln penny. While billions were made, the fact that they are tied to such a major historical commemoration ensures they will remain in demand among collectors for generations. Thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe my channel for more videos.